been rumors about the Meridian since the expansion days, but no one had found Bupkis. Those days, Atlas was paying top dollar for artifacts. Well, it wasn't like I could farm turds for a living, so I took up adventuring. Thing is, the gangs were shaking down freelancers. But I said to myself, Typhon, if you don't want to end up back on Pandora, you better put your keys on the line. The day I arrived on Promethea. Those buildings looked so tall and majestic. I was so busy sky-gazing that a thief stole the pants right off my keister. Promethea's no Pandora, but a city is still plenty dangerous. I knew this was the sort of place I would either find my destiny or die in a gutter. And thanks to my partner/nemesis, Aslan de Vega, Promethea was almost both. I thought a city like Promethea would be crammed full of opportunity, but actually it was a tinderbox of violence and greed. Corporations were pulling out, calling the joint a dead end. People were starving, eating stone soup and boiled rats to get by. But somehow, I survived. It was a real wrong place at the right time type of situation. You know, sometimes the trick to being successful is just staying in the game longer than the other guy.
Atlas Corporation seems to have reformed itself under the CEO-ship of Reese, but it has a dark and troubled past. Typhon left behind another loot cache for you, sending the location now. My partner/nemesis. He talked a big game, but there was a reason why he was down on his luck. He was lazy, but I was hungry to prove myself. Then one time, we were wandering through the Casmarian quarry, and I fell through some brittle rock. Aslan calls down, "Nice knowing you, DeLeon," grabs my stuff and splits. Well, I had to find another way up, and bam, that's when I found the vault. I guess the moral is, sometimes you gotta fall before you make it big. Just sitting there in front of the vault. Good thing I didn't open it myself. I gave the vault key to Atlas, got a boatload of cash, and the rest is history. Anyway, as soon as I made my money, who shows up at my door but Aslan de Vega, saying I owe him half of the cut? Baloney! I was on my own. And after that, whenever somebody wanted to find Meridian ruins, they called me, Typhon de Leon, the first vault hunter. Before I found that vault, Atlas was lagging behind the other guys. They'd almost got wiped out during the corporate wars and were looking to rise from the ashes like the... what's it called? That Firebird. Anyway, Atlas was just throwing explorers at every dig site they could find. Now, I never thought growing up on Pandora would do me a lick of good, but I spent my childhood hunting Meridian ruins, and that gave me the edge. How about that? Pandora's good for something.
Hearing DeLeon's account gives me chills. That or Claptrap interfaced with my lab's life support system again. Either way, another of Typhon's caches has been revealed.
Days, I was always starving. I begged, borrowed, and stole for a bite to eat. Some nights, I was so hungry, I woke up and I was eating my ranch pillow. Anyway, once, I saw some grubby kids fighting over a pickle. I told them a story, and they gave me a bite. And until I found the vault, that was how I put ranch on the table. Telling stories of my adventures on Pandora. How about that? For Meridian crap was dangerous work, so me and Aslan de Vega joined up and agreed to split the loot 50-50. I had a nose for finding alien crap, and Aslan, he could talk his way into all sorts of free equipment. Or he stole it. In the end, Aslan taught me a valuable lesson. The same person watching your back is usually the first person to stab it. That's why I always strap a Verkuvian ham on my back. Hot as a rock. That back ham saved my case plenty of times. In ham I trust. Oh, Dockside. My kind of neighborhood. What a dump! Rats for pillows, rats for dinner. There was a saying, once you go rats, you go straight to the hospital. Or to sleep. But Dockside was where I met Aslan de Vega. That bastard tried to kill me plenty of times. But here's the thing. If I hadn't met Aslan, I never would have joined up with Atlas. And if I hadn't joined up with Atlas, I probably would have just ended up back on Pandora, farming turds.
Promethea certainly has changed from Typhon de Leon's time, though the arc of history doesn't seem to bend towards civility. Oh well, another day, another weapon cache for the historically inclined.
Skywell gig. Skywell 27 was one of the mining sites orbiting Promethea. The word was, some poor schlub had gotten trapped, and he was radioing that there was tons of Meridian ruins all around him. I figured he was lying, so the corporations would actually send a rescue crew instead of just paving over the poor bastard. I'd trust a rabid skag before I trusted a corporation. Unless that skag was running a corporation. Oh, skag CEO. Dunno. It makes me laugh.
Drop that beat!
The whole trap miner thing was a big fat ruse. When I get there, Aslan de Vega calls down and says, "That's for stealing my cut of the vault, De Leon." Then he hucks a grenade, collapsing the tunnel I was in. When you're famous, there's always some asshole who'll try to kill you for money. It took me a while, but eventually I found my way to the surface. Aslan was at the bar celebrating my death. I nabbed his geese when he wasn't looking and stole the butts' ship. Ha!
Did Aslan de Vega's treachery know no bounds? Although these events occurred decades ago, they still get my blood boiling. Oh, right, the cash.
Promethea, searching for another vault. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't recreate the magic of that first vault. Sometimes in life, you just don't know when you've reached your peak. But I started to wonder whether there were other vaults out there. Atlas, they lied to me. Bastards said that they were going to use the vault tech to make Promethea paradise. But all they did was quadruple their standing army and added a new feather in their cap, the Crimson Lance. Those bastards bled the people dry and worked them to the bone. After a while, I said to myself, screw Atlas. I gotta get out of here. For a while after I found the vault, Atlas kept me on retainer, which is a fancy corporate word that means we'll pay you to sit around and do bumpkins. My contract had something called a non-compete clause, which I didn't read, because who reads contracts anyway? Big mistake!
If the Atlas Corporation had retained Typhon de Leon, I'm sure they would have been more successful on Pandora. Ah, yes, your loot cash awaits.
To name the station after me, but I told them to name it after Aslan de Vega, because I'm no dummy. Who wants their name attached to something people are gonna just piss and crap all over? So then, they tell me they're gonna name the whole city after me to attract investors. Baloney, I say. If you want to attract investors, name it Meridian. Then everyone will think it's got crap tons of Meridian ruins. Dumb bastards did it too. Names are like stories. They can be dangerous in the wrong hands. After I found that first vault, Atlas sent me into every nook and cranny on Promethea. But the truth is, I never found another one. Pretty soon, Atlas started accusing me of holding out on them. But Typhon's honor, there ain't no more vaults on Promethea. Good thing too. You release a monster in a city, you better have another one to fight it. Saw that in an old documentary from before the expansion. What a flick!
Oof.
Wish I could say finding that vault did some good for the people of Promethea, but that ain't true. At first, it sure seemed like it though. Atlas started building subways and planetary tracks, but when they didn't find another vault, the corporation stopped investing in the planet, and Promethea became a crap hole again. Be careful who you work for. Corporations, they're like assholes. They ain't any prettier from the inside. And if you stay near one long enough, they're gonna crap all over you.
I I've located another cache. You know, I'm beginning to suspect that Typhon did know about the other vault on Promethea, but he kept this a secret.